Hello and welcome from Costa Rica. Today I want to talk about an interesting topic that might be a little bit controversial as well, and it is about how to discern what is true for you. Like with the age of information in the internet and social media and all those different options that we can receive information, there is a flood of opinions and ideas and agendas, and it can be pretty overwhelming in terms of finding out what is true and who is right and who we should listen to, right? Because everybody seems to be very convinced that their perspective is the right perspective or the true perspective, and everybody seems to be like really convincing and having good arguments for their position. And there's also a lot of contradiction happening, and it can be confusing. So I want to share how I find out for myself what is true for me, and maybe that can help you to be a bit more discerning about what is true and what not. And let me start by saying that I don't believe that there's one truth out there that can be spoken or that can be defined. I believe that all truths are true, and that whatever we can imagine or whatever we believe is possible or exists will exist in some way, shape, or form, and we can make it a reality. So then the question becomes, okay, what is true for me, right? Because what is true for someone else might not necessarily be true for you, but it might be super valid for another person who maybe signed up for a totally different journey as a soul, to experience this very special times we're in right now from a certain perspective. So whatever we believe to be true, we are seeing also through the filter of our past experiences. So we are pretty predetermined and influenced by what we already experienced, and whether those experiences were positive or negative, we would rather gravitate towards a more negative or more positive truth, right? So there's also something to keep in mind. But yeah, that being said, like ultimately, there's no such thing as the truth for me. There's only perspectives of the ultimate truth, which is nothing and everything at the same time. And within that nothingness and everythingness, everything can be expressed based on the desires that a soul has in order to experience something. And this can go all the way, all the frequency spectrum from very dark to very light. But I believe that whatever someone can imagine is true in some way, or is a possible parallel reality. So, because I think imagination is connected to the astral realm, which is a realm beyond this physical realm. But the fact that we can imagine something, I believe, means that this already exists as a possible reality somewhere. Otherwise, we couldn't imagine it. And why? Because we cannot imagine non-existence. Imagine non-existence is not possible, right? So whatever you can imagine must exist somewhere. So that being said, you can choose what you want to believe to be true, and at the same time, I use my inner guidance. Like, for me, if I hear something, I try to read the frequencies. I'm not like so much listening to the words that are being said, of course, that also, but I also find out, I try to sense the underlying frequency. And it's very simple. It's basically, is this coming from a space of love, or is this coming from a space of fear, right? And it's basically just, how does this information make me feel? And if it's making me feel not loved and not empowered, then for me it's not true, because I know it's an option to believe the opposite, but it's not serving me, so why would I? My truth is that the higher I'm vibrating, the better, in a sense, because my soul wants to vibrate, higher. And that doesn't mean that I devalue anything outside of my truth. I totally give validation to all of it. I give validate everything that anybody's believing to be true. I say like, yeah, man, it's totally possible that this exists, and if that's true for you, that's totally fine. I'm not saying it's not that. I'm just saying for me, I choose my truth because I take in information consciously in a sense of being observing. Is it serving me? Is it uplifting me? Is it nurturing my vibration, or is it bringing my vibration down? And if it's bringing my vibration down, me being a strong believer in our vibration creates a reality, and I don't necessarily want to create a lower vibrational reality, at least not in this lifetime. It might be in other lifetimes I'm totally down for it and I'm totally the bad guy and creating chaos and totally enjoying that. But right now I'm, the opposite polarity, and I'm enjoying peace and love and abundance and bliss and expansion of consciousness and creativity and beauty and all that stuff, right? So in this lifetime, the truth that I found for myself, or like the things that I find to be true, I find what resonates is true in that moment, and that can change. So that means if I receive an information, I feel into my body, how does it make me feel? And if it's coming from a place of fear, if somebody is installing fear in that message, then it's not true for me, because then I'm like, okay, so those people are in a space of fear, and that's for me one possible truth, to believe in. There's something to be afraid of, and at the same time, I believe there's nothing more powerful than we are for our own reality. So I don't believe that there's a threat out there. I don't believe there's anybody more stronger than me or more powerful than me controlling anything. So if anybody wants to tell me, there's something outside of myself, and this ties into the idea of conspiracy theories, which are maybe nice to show people that there might be something else than the common belief, than what the mainstream is thinking. However, on the long run, it's not serving anybody. Take this shadow government idea, for instance. If people believe or buy into that there's a elite, whatever, controlling your life or what is possible, then you instantly give your power away. And then you can create that experience that it might be so, and you might, vibrationally match those realities where you create a whatever controlling situation and where you feel yourself powerless. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the power to change that. It just means like that you use your power to create that scenario to make that a truth. So I don't say that those conspiracy theories are not like possible realities. I totally believe they are, like all of them. But the question is, who is serving this idea of, being powerless, or being like having someone outside of self being more powerful than you? For me, if there are beings out there that need to manipulate and they need to control and they need to hide knowledge and stuff, then those are the most weak beings in the universe. So that is nothing to be afraid of. It's like the boogeyman, like in the movies, where the boogeyman is really strong when everybody is afraid. But when people start to see it for what it is, that it's just it's fueled by fear, and it's actually pretty weak. And the more people are realizing and getting out of the fear, the less scary the boogeyman gets, until everybody starts to laugh at the boogeyman and the boogeyman just disappears. And this is how I see, all those conspiracies, in a sense. They don't have any power over me. There's no one holding me back from having an amazing life, and I don't blame any elite or shadow government or whatever for my life circumstances. I own it fully, and I'm controlling my thoughts, and I'm controlling my emotions, and I'm controlling my vibrations, and I see myself as a powerful divine creator being. And truth is for me what resonates within me. So if it makes me feel good, if my cells are vibrating, then that's true for me in the moment, and then it can change, because there's no final destination. It's always an ongoing journey. And with that being said, your truth is what you believe to be true, and that can be totally different for someone else. And it's just important that you listen to your own guidance, because ultimately you're your own guru, and deep inside you know all the answers, and there's no one outside of yourself who can tell you what's right for you. So you have to listen and follow your own truth, basically.